Welcome to the Her Voice Shines podcast, where we celebrate the power, brilliance, and resilience of women everywhere. I'm your host, Shanasia Washington. Join us as we share inspiring stories and insights from extraordinary women who have found their voice and are making a difference. Together, we'll create a ripple effect, illuminating the path to visibility and empowerment. Let's break barriers, shatter ceilings, and lift each other up. In each episode, we dive deep into the journeys of women who have turned their challenges into triumphs and their dreams into reality. Whether you're looking for motivation, guidance, or a community that understands your journey, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and remember, let your voice shine. And just like the introduction says, you are in the right place. It's the Her Voice Shines podcast. I'm your amazing host, Shanasia Washington, streaming from the beautiful city of Houston, Texas. It's no secret. I love to be here because we bring the best women, the best stories. And guess what? I have been like on a pre-AP gifted and talented, learning course for the past 35, 40 days because I've gathered so much from these women and I'm so proud to be in this space. But you know, we don't waste time around here. I have another amazing guest. She comes to the stage, tells us her name, where she's streaming from, and guess what, y'all? We get that story. Without any further waiting time, here's my very beautiful guest for today.
Hi, Shanasia. I'm Stacy Miller. I am coming to you from Tampa, Florida, which is beautiful this time of year, all times of year, actually. I am the founder and CEO of Bayview Financial Planning. And my story starts by marrying a wonderful man 30 years ago this year, in fact. And he is a serviceman. He was in the Army for almost 30 years, which made me a military spouse. And it's that journey as a military spouse that really created the foundation for Bayview Financial Planning. It's that journey and the values that I created, the empathy that I have for women like me that have to rely on their spouse's future financial security. Because over the 28 years that he was in the military, we moved 14 times. Of course, he deployed and traveled a lot more even than that. But every time we moved, I had to quit a job, and I was underemployed or unemployed so often that my future financial security feels very tentative, feels very insecure. So taking that knowledge, and then of course, I've gone to school and I'm now a certified financial planner, and I've been in the industry for several years. I founded Bayview Financial Planning to help other women, widows, and military and veteran families find their future financial security, because I understand and empathize with why that journey is so important.
Oh, I love it. And when I read the kind of intro into your form, I was like, man, this is so good, because so many women, especially like, when they're married and their husbands are providing, most of the financial backing, they'll just kind of go to the side when it comes to financial planning. So for you to take the ownership here and say, something's not right, I want to make sure that I am financially prepared. I want to give you kudos, Stacy. That means a lot to me to hear your story. Also, too, congratulations on 30 years. They say they're not lasting like that anymore. So this is 30 years, girl. Man, what a big accomplishment. So congratulations to you there. What stood out in your first segment, Stacy, was this moving 14 times. Insane. Like, I'm a person who in my lifetime, I've only moved like 3 times. And that's including like moving to college. That right there is kind of, to me, it feels like you're starting over every time. So there may be a military woman or someone that has to move around a lot that may be struggling in this space. I want you to talk about the headspace of that, because that's a lot. When there's a lot of different moving parts, and you kind of touched on it with saying like, okay, like I was kind of underemployed, or not employed at all at times, that can take a mental toll. So for someone who's in that space right now, constantly having to move, constantly having to start over, do these things, talk to us a little bit about the headspace and what you can do to maybe give them a piece of advice to have them like stay the course.
Sure. So I'm a natural planner, which is a good reason to be a financial planner. And that's a good place to be, even if you're not a natural planner, as you're moving from place to place, because it is challenging. And it's a little bit easier because when we started back in the 90s, if you do your math, there was no internet where you could Google and go to Facebook and see, what's the next location going to be like. But it's always, community based. And so now you have a little bit better resources. But I'll give you a perfect example. Planning really helped me with my children in their education. I had a son. I didn't realize until he was later in elementary school. I asked him what time it was. And he looked at the clock and he said, "I don't know, Mom." And I said, what do you mean you don't know? Look at the clock. And he said, "Well, I don't know how to tell time." It was, regular clock with hands. He only knew how to tell time on a digital clock because the school district that we left hadn't taught how to tell time yet. But the school district that we moved to had taught how to tell time the year prior. So he missed that. And so, that planning aspect meant that I now carried their school curriculum from year to year and location to location. So I knew what they were going to miss and was able to kind of fill that over the summers and make sure that they didn't miss anything like that, because that was a revelation. And my kid did not ever learn how to tell time. So planning is really important, and finding a community is really the most important part. And it's not exclusive to military families. Of course, there's other professions that move a lot, and sometimes people just move a lot. I'm an introvert. I call myself an ambitious introvert. And so I do some networking, and I get very involved in my communities, but it's a part of it's very important to me. It's one of my values, is being involved in that way. And professionally, because I want to succeed, that's very important to me. But getting involved in the community is so important, because you find resources that are not on the internet, and you find connections that have information that can help you so much. So all of those things, I hope, were some maybe good tips for you.
Absolutely. That community is key. Because I find myself, like, especially as I'm going through different phases of life, like things change. And if I'm getting to that phase before my peers or the people I know, I have to find that community kind of shore me up, especially when I'm changing seasons. Seems like very quickly here. When you talked about your son's curriculum, it kind of brought home a point for me, because like now, since I take such ownership in my son's education, we do like a homeschool hybrid model. It just keeps me more in tune with like the educational system and really some of those flaws that are there. Because to hear you say that one particular school district was teaching time a whole year before, and then here my son is in this school and doesn't know time yet. And I hope that if there's parents listening here, that you lean in and take that accountability, especially for your child, especially if they move around a lot. That was one of the things that really gave me a light bulb moment, Stacy. So thank you for sharing that. And you talked about this space of giving back. I know I looked through your application, and you talked about, I believe it's the Home for Our Troops. That was one of them. But the one that really stood out was the one about savvy ladies, because you give them the opportunity to just ask the question. And I really can't say how important that is, because those type of communities are so needed. Because sometimes I just need a safe place to ask the question. I don't want it to feel stupid or dumb or out of place. But can you tell me about walking to that particular cause, because that one spills out, hence it's Her Voice Shines. I want you to talk more about that and really shine some light on that.
Yeah, so everybody, women included, has a financial planning type question, right? You get to a new job and they say, "Congratulations, you have a 401k." And you think, "Wow, that's awesome. I've heard really great things about 401ks." And then you think, "But what do I do with it? How do I invest it?" And some people don't know who to ask that question, and then they don't invest it, and it just sits in cash. And so not asking that question because you're afraid to ask that question, or you don't know who to ask that question to, can cause long-term repercussions. And so Savvy Ladies is the place where you can ask those questions in a safe place. Financial planning is not affordable for everybody. It's a choice. It's not a given. And I recognize that, but I feel like it should be something that everyone has the opportunity to have some connection to. And so that's why I really enjoy Savvy Ladies. You can submit your questions, whether you're getting divorced, or you lost a spouse, or you have a new job, or you just won the lottery, or whatever your question is. Everybody has changes, transitions, things going on in their lives that present financial challenges, and you have a question. And if you don't have a trusted source to help you answer that question, and Savvy Ladies uses fiduciaries, certified financial planners, if you don't have that trusted source to answer that question, then sometimes you get no answer, or sometimes you get the wrong answer. If you Google it, if you use social media, the term that we use is called finfluencers, right? There's so many people on social media that are sharing their money advice, but they might not be trained, they might not be educated, and they might not be certified to give that information. So it may or may not be great information. So Savvy Ladies is that safe place to be able to ask those questions that are very relevant and very pertinent to your life choices.
Oh, I love it because I find myself, especially of getting of a certain age, have a kid now, whatever, that these type of conversations are so important for me to have. I didn't grow up with a lot of education on financial, wealth transfer, all those kind of things. So now that I'm in a place in my life to, really want to inquire about those things, these type of conversations mean more than Stacy. I tell people about my podcast. I love it because I get to learn and have all these experiences in a very, very authentic and safe place. So thank you for sharing that. One of the things I want to ask you, I know that prior to this, you were a partner in an investment firm, and you made the statement that I could be good at doing the work, but if it doesn't align with my personal values, then it doesn't really just feel good. Walk us through that, because I champion women to say, yes, get the skills, but be bold and authentic enough to make it feel good while you're doing it.
Yeah. So late last year, I left a firm where I was a partner. We were successful. The work was enjoyable, but it wasn't filling my tank. It wasn't quite aligned with my personal values in the way that I really wanted it to be. So we were mainly focused on institutional asset management, which, organizations and doing investments for organizations. And what I really wanted to do was to help women, widows, and military and veteran families with these kinds of questions, like we've talked about just a minute ago. Am I ready for retirement? What do I do when I'm transitioning out of the military? I just lost a spouse. I don't even know where to begin. I wanted to be that resource, that person that would provide advice. I wanted to have more of a relationship rather than a transaction. And so that's why I founded Bayview Financial Planning, was to create that opportunity, which I think is a win-win for me. It aligns with my values. It's going to fill my personal tank because I know that I'm now able to help people in a way that really makes me feel good. And I hope that I'm helping people in a way that helps them find peace of mind with their financial concerns.
Yeah, like, isn't it a beautiful place to be when you love the work and then aligns with values? Like, I'm just arriving, Stacy. I am just arriving, and it feels good. So I love that you brought that to the forefront, in discussing your history and everything like that, because it's a place that I really encourage a lot of women to be. I'm like, you're already smart, you already have the skills, you already have the thing. Now you have to take the power to say, no, I want to operate and use these skills to the best way that maximizes number one, the skill and talent. But then it just feels good when I go home at night, like it's aligning with my personal values. Now let's talk numbers. You told us this, that women are in control of 30 trillion.
That's right. That's right. So it's actually approaching 30 trillion. And as the boomers are leaving us, they're leaving more and more wealth to women. And because women generally live longer than men, that's one of the biggest reasons why that transition is occurring, so that women are actually inheriting more than men, which means women need our help, meaning, our financial help more than ever, because, traditionally women aren't the money managers. And so that's not always the case. Obviously, women, a lot of cases, are breadwinners, and some women are the money managers. I just spoke with one yesterday who is a new prospective client who is the breadwinner in her family. But they need voices that resonate with them, because the financial services industry, right, has been dominated by men. And so that advice, those voices don't resonate necessarily with the women that are looking for that advice. And so that's another reason why I founded Bayview Financial Planning, is to be able to be that voice, to be that empathetic listening ear in an industry that is, the majority of men. So it's a pretty incredible opportunity for women, and they actually are statistically proven better investors. Women are better investors than men for a number of reasons, because they invest and hold, long-term investors, whereas men try to, buy and sell and beat the market. But by almost 1% per year, women are better investors than men, statistically proven. So with a little bit of advice, especially from women financial planners like me, women can be very successful.
Oh, I love it. And it was something earlier when we were talking, and I forgot to bring it up. I wrote a note about it because I was like, oh, I like that, because you said that you were an ambitious introvert. And I know people see me on a podcast now. They say, but this was not my past life. Like around 2019, I was like an introvert. And I can do this freely because I'm in service mode. And it was that part about like aligning the values. I can get on here and have the conversation. But like after my interviews, I have to recharge. I go back to that natural introvert. I have to go read a book. I have to go and, get myself together for the course. So any advice there? Because I think they see us introverts sometimes. Because I know when I was in financial services, I didn't tell you this, but I worked in financial services for 13 years prior to leaving one. I was working for the last company, an Australian investment bank. And I struggled a lot with the introvert part, because I can do the work, right? I can manage the team, but there was parts of me that just really couldn't stay in the fight a long time, as it related to, being the one who, I want to raise my hand. I want to be in the front. It just wasn't my thing. So any advice there for especially women? We know that it's male dominated. And then if you have this extra layer of being an introvert.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason too why I made the decision to launch my firm. Is it's a little bit easier to be that introvert when you're with your people and when you're aligned with your values. It's a little bit more comfortable when, instead of, working for something that, is maybe a good thing and is maybe good work, it's just more comfortable and a little bit easier when it aligns with your values and you surround yourself with your people. Women, widows and military families, those are my people. So they're a little bit easier for me to connect with, which is why I focused on those three niches. So that's part of the reason why I made that switch. And I'm not going to say making that switch was easy. It wasn't. It was very challenging to make that personal and professional decision to make that switch. But I'm really glad that I did, because things feel aligned and it makes the work easier, even as an ambitious introvert.
Oh, I love it. Now, Stacey, I'm gonna have to borrow ambitious introvert. I had already known it, but I'm gonna have to borrow that because I feel like I embody that energy. Like, yes, I'm very ambitious. I'm gonna get thing done. I'm gonna try it. But please note that there's a part of me that will always kind of just need that little bit of alone time, a little bit of recharge time. And I get to a point to where I can strategically kind of use my energy. Like, well, okay, and I'm going to give it a lot here, but then maybe Thursday, Friday, I go back to the work that keeps me close to myself. So I'm just happy to be in a place to where I can balance that energy and operate, you know?
I am with you. You are welcome to borrow that. But as soon as we're done here, I am going to go sit and relax. And, this weekend, I'm hopefully going to go paddle boarding, weather permitting. Like, a lot of my personal activities that I do are, they fill that introvert. I like to walk, I like to hike. So, I refuel because during the work week, I really lean in, especially now that I'm building my business. I launched in 2024. I've got to kind of lean into, all the marketing and the networking and all kinds of things. So that's a little bit harder. I want to be a financial planner. I feel like I'm a marketer right now, but yeah, you're welcome to borrow my phrase. It's I've never heard it before, but it's I maybe should trademark it. But anyway, yes, you're welcome to borrow it, and I hope it helps and supports your community.
Yes, ambitious invert on a t-shirt. That's what I say. Put it on and then look, I actually have my
in glitter or with twins or something. Yeah. Yep.
I actually have my, you can't see it all, but it says antisocial social butterfly. What are the choices? So I actually embody this energy, and I would wear that on the shirt, ambitious introvert, all day long, and stand by it. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I want to make sure I get here before we get to the close of the interview because I thought it was so good you brought this up. You talked about the 5 love languages and using that even in professional spaces. And this is good because I remember a time when I was managing a team with Stacy. I had no idea what the team did. They just kind of put me over the team. So I had to spend time learning the team as kind of my coach for leading them. I didn't know the specific thing that they did, but at least I could use a certain, type of thing. And I do think I partly incorporated this to be able to manage them as a leader who was not the subject matter expert. But can you speak to that as to why that love language, methodology could work in a professional development environment?
Yeah, the 5 Love Languages is a book by Gary Chapman, and it was developed for romantic relationships, but he has since created another book called I can't remember exactly, but it's workplace affirmations. And the 5 love languages are acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, and physical touch. And obviously physical touch is not appropriate in the workplace. So that one is kind of removed. But the point is, everyone has a primary love language, something that fills their tank the best. And if for example, my spouse is a words of affirmation guy, and I'm an acts of service person. So when he does something nice for me, without asking, by the way, but when he does something nice for me, that really fills my tank. That makes me feel loved. And when I say something nice to him or I write something nice to him, that makes him feel the most loved. And the workplace affirmations, they work very similarly. Your employees, your colleagues, some colleagues are going to feel the most appreciated if you do something for them, acts of service, or if you say something nice to them, or maybe you give them a certificate and say, good job. Or maybe they want a gift certificate to the lunch place down the street, and that would be, the gift. or quality time, meaning they get to spend time with, one-on-one time with the boss or with a colleague or whatever it is. So if you understand how the workplace affirmations work, then you know how to fuel others. And if you know how yours works, then you can help, others understand you. Like I said, mine is acts of service. And so I realized in aligning my values that I needed to fill my tank by not only receiving acts of service, but by providing acts of service. And so helping people and taking care of people in through financial planning, solving their problems. That's my act of service, and that fills my tank by being able to take care of people. And I'm going to give you an example. I have a client that she's a widow, and she was looking at getting married very soon. And there's a rule that if you remarry before a certain age, that you lose your spouse's Social Security. And because she had taken time off of work to raise her children, her husband's, who passed away, his Social Security was going to be a higher number than her Social Security. So it was going to be a big financial loss if she got married and lost his Social Security. So she didn't know that, but I had that information. And while it was, devastating for her to learn and understand that this rule is changing her opportunity to get married, she's able to still stay connected with her partner. But now she knows that she didn't make that choice, that she's able to stay financially secure through the information that I was able to share with her. If she and I didn't have that professional relationship, she wouldn't have that information, and she would have lost a lot of money. So it really fills my tank to be able to solve problems that sometimes people don't even know that they have, challenges that sometimes people don't even know they have. So that's the love languages, and in the workplace, what we call the words of affirmation, and how they kind of apply.
Oh, that was a beautiful walkthrough. And that last piece of information about that lady potentially losing those benefits, I think I took my glasses off like this, and I put them and I put them back down because geez, like I had no idea, and I would have never known that had we not shared this space. So wow. I'm just thankful that she was able to speak to you so that she's able to keep that financial peace, because that's a big thing. Thank you, Stacy. But before we leave, I want to make sure that our viewers, our listeners know where to find you, where to connect with you. Any information that you want to share about connecting with Stacy Miller, please provide here.
Well, thank you for asking. My website is bayviewfp.com. That's like Bayview Financial Planning, bayviewfp.com. I do a weekly blog. I have a YouTube page, which is Bayview FP. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Again, I told you I'm leaning into all the marketing and everything. And I've been published in a lot of media, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. So you can find me a lot. If you Google Stacy Miller CFP, you can find a lot of information. But I'm happy to share everything that I can to help your listeners.
Absolutely. Now I'll be over there smiling on you, Stacy Miller. Don't worry about it. I'll be over there looking around, seeing what I can figure out about my financial situation. So thank you so much for being here. Now this is the part in the show, Stacy, where I say I cue to my guests for their final thoughts. I ask them to give us some very good parting words for this space, and then really just gives us something that captures the essence of Stacy as we cue to end the show.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me as a guest. I've really enjoyed this time. But I want to leave you with a topic that I've written about recently in a blog, and it was actually published in NerdWallet as well. It's financial self-care. And as I launched a business this year, self-care is kind of top of mind for me. And when you think about self-care, you think about maybe getting a massage, going for a walk, taking a bath, all kinds of different things. But when you think about financial self-care, it's kind of that version, but with finance. So it's like your financial facial, so to speak. And it's just equally as important for you to take care of your finances as it is to take care of your body, your mental health. And so I want you to think about financial self-care being really something that's very important, because I know it keeps a lot of you up at night, the different questions and worries and challenges that you have every day. So again, go to my website, go to my YouTube channel, where you can find some information for how to achieve future financial security.
I absolutely love it. And what an amazing episode of the Her Voice Shines podcast. We just had a real good conversation, like we were sitting on the couch. You know, that's the vibe I try to give, because I feel like I am meeting all the people that are aligned. They get it. They know how to come in here and just tell us, you know, this information, but do it in a way that's so pure and authentic. And that's really why the platform exists. So to all our beautiful listeners and viewers, you know, I will never leave this place without telling you that I love you, and that we'll really be back in no time with another amazing episode of the Her Voice Shines podcast. And we thank you.